Akong hingi na rin po ng reaction dito po sa sinabi ni Sasot. Sabi po niya, it's an honor to be cited in contempt by a very corrupt House of Representatives led by a very corrupt speaker.
Una sa lahat, may honor pa ba siya? I mean, these are people who portray themselves as heroes but do not have the honor to face a legitimate investigation and to face the public and explain themselves under oath kung bakit may mga sinasabi silang hindi tama at hindi hindi totoo. So I think being honorable is to not only being brave online, but brave enough to face the charges and under oath express your sentiments. And by the way, I thank those bloggers who have participated in our committee hearings. I take these people as you know, courageous enough to take to explain themselves and take the chance and to take the opportunity granted to them kasi binibigyan naman sila ng invitation and due process para i-explain sa deliberasyon sa komite kung ano yung pwede nilang maibigay at input na may dagdag sa pag-formulate at pag-draft natin ng isang batas. So I thank them for continuously engaging the committee and for explaining their side. Kasi yun naman talaga dati sa atin dito na dapat ay kung mayroon sila kasi yung parte doon sa sektor na yon. At sila yung very much active doon sa platform na yon. So their inputs would be very much valued and very much appreciated. So I thank them for coming over and continuously engaging in the committee deliberation.
Thank you, Billy. Next question will be Billionario Sandro.
Hi, good morning, Kong. Kong, may recently nga ang daming pinag-usapan sa internet yung tungkol dun sa bastos na sa kampanya, and then recently itong yung openly pagbawi ng endorsement ng LGBT community kay Heidi Mendoza. Tingin niyo po ba anong aral yung makukuha natin from all these events?
Yung lesson na very simple lang yung message na be more sensitive, circumspect, and be decent in public discourse. Hindi lang sa mga kandidato but in all public spaces where discussions are being are being exercised and valued and celebrated in spaces where opinions are matter. I think the baseline should be remarks, statements, opinions are to be in line with our purpose of progressing the community. I think that's the basic messaging that we need to maintain and uphold.
Sa tingin nyo saan kaya nagagamit? Kasi nanggagaling ito. Kasi parang yun nga ang dami pong incidents nung hindi lang pala isa. Even Gabriela found out.
Sila.
Yes, ang dami.
Na.
Saan po kaya nanggagaling ito?
Hindi ko talaga alam dahil ako personally kung tatanungin mo, hindi ko alam kung bakit ganun yung konteksto ng mga sinasabi ng mga kandidato dahil baka naman may peculiarities kasi ng bawat komunidad, no? Pero it also has something to do with yung toleration, yung level of toleration sa ating kultura na I think that has to be changed. Na yung bakit kailangan mong pwede ka naman mangampanya at mag-joke without hurting a certain sector. If you attack an individual, make sure that yung campaigning mo, yung negative campaigning mo, ay hindi hindi lang makakasakit sa isang tao or demeaning yung pagka-humanity ng isang kandidato na kalaban mo, But hindi dapat makasakit sa isang sector kung saan nabibilang ang isang individual. So, partly also because this move by the Commission, by adopting this resolution, is really to change that type of mindset and culture where lewd jokes are acceptable and tolerated. So, kailangan natin talaga mag-change ito kasi itong nangyayari, it's a lesson actually, it's a lesson. I look at the good side. The good side is a lesson na kailangan nating malaman. And unfortunately, it's something that we learned in a hard way kasi may mga 5 na kandidato na isyuhan ng show cause order at sana hindi po madagdagan ang kanilang bilang.
May connect po kaya to kasi parang we had a former president na nagmumura doon sa... Doon kaya galing yon, sir?
Kailangan talaga natin ma-change yung ganong mindset eh. I think tayo lang din mga sa publiko ang magsasabi sa mga kandidato natin. We deserve better platforms of governance. We as electorate, as citizen of this country, should demand to our candidates and leaders that kung ano man yung dapat namin malaman at marinig sa inyo, ay yung kung ano yung makakabuti sa amin. So, ganun din yon. It's so, tama nga yung sinabi mo, dahil we tolerate this kind of lewd jokes and no less than the former president, nagjo-joke sila ng ganito. So, yun ang parati natin and consistent ang messaging natin dito sa House of Representatives that this kind of remarks should not be normalized and it should not be trivialized. Kasi hindi maganda sa pandinig ng publiko at nakakasakit sa mga individual na nabibilang sa mga ilang sektor at grupong based sa kanilang gender at based sa kanilang paniniwala.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandro. We now call on Elson.
Hello, Kong. How are you? Hingi lang po ng comment nyo sa isang development po sa ICC. Yun daw pong prosecutor ng ICC is looking into the, I guess, evidence against the co-perpetrators daw po ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. And if needed, the judge will also issue a warrant against them. Although, sir, wala pong sinabing pangalan, kasi confidential daw po. But, of course, ang iniisip po natin ay si Senator Bato. Your reaction?
Again, this is entirely within, I guess, the administration has been very consistent in saying that we no longer deal with the ICC. But as to the jurisdiction where the ICC gains its yung kanyang kaso against the former president, the timeline kung saan nangyari itong mga allegations of yung crime against humanity happened when the time the Philippines was a party and a member of the Rome Statute. Again, ang sa aking palagay from the legislative side of the government, it is purely within how the executive would respond to these ongoing cases. So, let's see how this will unfold.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Should only be considered if they have a government-issued ID, passport, SSS, or national ID. Sa tingin, in your point of view, is this a fair ask, given that the victims, most of the victims came from poor communities?
What is more concrete as an evidence than the death of a loved one? That would be more than enough for those families of the victims who are now crying for justice, to say that one, they're Filipino citizens, they have legitimate grievances, and they have valid case that they would file before the ICC. So I think yung defense naman nila, that's how they will approach the case. They will do anything and everything they can, and they can explore any legal possibilities just to frustrate, for example, the case filed by the prosecution. So that's entirely a legal maneuvering and legal strategy for the defense. But again, if you ask me, that's like asking too much of a. Why would a national ID why would a national ID or a SSS be material in filing the case? No, just to prove, I don't know what kind of evidence that they would like to, what kind of additional, for example, documentation they want to ask for the victims to provide. Hindi ko alam kung how would that be relevant in the case in the pursuit of justice.
Sorry, I have two more questions on different topics. Sir, yun kay Attorney Harry Roque, sa tingin nyo ba it's the other way around na baka makasama pa dun sa asylum bid niya yung allegation na magaling siyang magpabagsak ng gobyerno for that matter?
If proven true talagang siya mismo, that revelation in itself would be legally, kumbaga, kung tatanungin mo ko, it would really condemn, for example, legally, and the case of the petition or the asylum that he is applying for in the Netherlands. Kasi party siya doon sa pag-destabilize ng isang gobyerno. So I'm sure in the Netherlands, they are also aware of, they know how to, they know how a legal proceeding would, differ from that of a legitimate case, differ from that of a political prosecution.
Sir, on Facebook naman, and that
yung sabi ko, yung alam po nila yung valid legal na mga charges from political prosecution.
Sir, yung sa Facebook, although the Facebook officials, Meta officials said that yung fact-checking, at least, yung fact-checking unit for this side of the world, Southeast Asia, it's still there. They still have third-party fact-checkers. Although in the US, it's already been stopped. Wala na silang fact-checking. Wala na silang third-party fact-checkers sa US. So, do you think moving forward, they should maintain that third-party fact-checker partners just to ensure that what is posted in their platform, is not harmful, to say the least, are not harmful to say the least?
Any possible mechanism that would maintain a productive or healthy discussion online is a welcome development. No, I would advise personally the Meta, Meta kung at saka not only Meta but all the social media platforms to sanitize their platforms from distorted videos and fake news that is harmful not only to the individual being targeted but to the entirety of the entirety of yung entirety nung public discourse and the effect of the possible effect of and ramification of not containing their platforms and not sanitizing their platforms from being a portal of fake and distorted news, malinformation, disinformation. So I would agree kung dapat talaga in all possible options and mechanism na kailangan para just to maintain a truthful relaying of information to the public is a welcome development. And they should maintain that. I think so. I think they should. But who am I to decide on that when it comes to other countries, no? Ang sinasabi ko lang is I'm coming from a country where kailangan talaga natin ng ganitong klaseng regulation.
Sir, my last for my end. Yung sa ano lang, sir, Bangsamoro Transition Authority. I understand the MILF are not very happy with the replacement of the interim chief minister. Parang they express concern. They also express concerns na parang 35 lang out of the 41 na they recommended were reappointed. So, going forward, is this going to be a problem? Kasi parang they may meron silang many resolutions expressing support na ma-retain si Ahod Ibrahim, but he was abruptly replaced and walang yung explanation ng Palace dun sa sudden replacement was not very categorical.
If kung my observation because I cannot see whether they're happy or not because I'm not in party to the discussion. Neither am I a member of the organization. But I think nagkaroon na sila ng inaugural session couple of days ago, and the session was attended by no less those who are high-ranking officials of the MILF, those members of the Central Committee. So that would be a display of support to the decision of the government of Malacanang in the issuance of new members to the Bangsamoro Parliament. So I would take that from this new development, from the recent development, which is the inaugural session of BTA, as a message by the MILF that that the organization in itself is willing to continuously cooperate with the government and supported the installation of a new chief minister.
Thank you, Ms. Linesca. For our last two questions, Ms. Kat, then three. Ms. Kat, Red, and Sai.
Hi, Kong.
Hello?
Balik lang po ako doon sa TRICO. Meron pong 4 na pinakontempt po. Kanina nabanggit na po si Sasot. Kasama po si Mark Lopez, si Ka Eric Celis, and si Lorraine Badoy. Hingin ko po sana yung thoughts ninyo na may bearing po ba yung contempt? Ano po, kumbaga parang magtatanda po ba sila doon sa contempt order na yon? And ano po kaya yung pwede natin gawin para hindi po ma-Harry Roque 2.0 itong mga pinakontempt na to?
Yung contempt order naman kasi hindi yan abrupt eh. May series of invitation na binigay sa kanila. Kasi kailangan talaga din natin na magbigay ng due process sa kanila. Una, invitation, and if their continuous absence are not justified legally or medically or otherwise, wala silang justification for the continuing absence in the committee deliberation. So talagang mapupunta yan dun sa contempt order because yung sa rules kasi ng committee is yung absence, no? Yung deliberate absence without even providing the committee the justification is constitute the deliberate frustration for the committee to come up with the laws, no? With possible legislation. So hindi naman siya abrupt. They were given the chance to attend the committee hearings. At ginawa naman po ng mga kanilang mga kasama sa kanilang industriya. Kung industriya ba or sektor, no? Nakita naman natin yung mga prominenteng mga vloggers na kasama nila sa kanilang mga known to be their friends and allies in the vlogging community. Nakipag-communicate naman sila sa ating mga membro ng komite. So pagkakataon nila ito para under oath, ma-express na nga rin nilang kanilang sarili at ma-explain nila kung bakit sila naglalabas ng ganung mga balita at probably mabigyan ang komite ng mga inputs na mas maganda pa, na mapapangganda yung magiging resulta nitong TRICOM na ito, which is magpasa ng isang batas na ayon sa pag-regulate sa mga fake news.
Pero sir, follow-up ko lang po kasi yung tatlo po sa kanila apparently nasa labas po ng bansa. So hindi po ba parang baka po kasi maulit yung kay Harry Roque na hindi na talaga siya nakaharap, pumunta pa ng ibang bansa na nag-apply pa for asylum.
Hindi ko alam kung ano yung mga courses of action na gagawin nila, but as far as we are concerned, sila ay they're continuously skipping the committee hearings. They're frustrating the committee deliberation, and kung ano man yung magiging takbo ng kanilang magiging development, kung paano nila iwasan itong committee hearings, ay nasa sa kanila. I think if you ask me, to the detriment, because reputation-wise, that would speak how, yung sinasabi nilang, kasi these are people who would try to display themselves as heroes and honorables, but how can you even say that you are a hero or portray yourself as honorable if you don't even have the gall to face a legitimate inquiry and to exercise, your right to explain to the public under oath that these are the things that you believed in?
Sir, next po is sa TRICOM pa rin, meron pong nabanggit si Commodore Tariela na merong Filipino vloggers pa po na nagpapakalat ng disinformation. And yung disinformation nila is more on pagkiling po sa China. Ano po yung thoughts ninyo dito ng mga kapwa Pilipino pa po natin yung kumakampi?
Ito ay hindi lang fake news eh. Ito'y agarang pagtataksil sa ating bansa. It's so disturbing that there are Filipino bloggers who support the narrative, the false and negative narrative of China to claim ownership over a portion of our seas. No, it is not only, to me, it's not only a betrayal or being yung pagiging traidor sa kanyang bansa. It's dismantling our sovereignty one post at a time. So para sa akin, just to be candid about it, pagtataksil at hindi siya karapat-dapat na tawaging Pilipino. So it's really disturbing that some of our Filipino kababayan are even pursuing the narrative of China. Remember, kung ikaw ay isang Pilipino, naniniwala sa integridad at sobereniya ng Pilipinas, hindi lang kasi yung issue ng teritoryo ang pinag-uusapan dito. Yung mga harassment na ginagawa sa mga most vulnerable sector in our community, mga fishermen, tinan nyo yung mga nangyayari sa kanila doon. Maski yung man lang yung maging konsiderasyon mo, para magkaroon ng ganong paniniwala na dapat talaga hindi suportahan kung ano man yung naratibo ng China. You forget about national security, just being Filipino. No? Kawawa yung mga nangyayari sa ating mga fishermen dyan sa area na yan, no? Sa West Philippine Sea. Yun man lang, I think that would be enough for a Filipino to really say na hindi dapat maging supportive doon sa naratibo ng China sa pag-angkin nila dito sa West Philippine Sea.
Sir, sorry, last na lang po. Baka lang po, meron po bang move ang House leadership to extend help? Kasi based po sa announcement ng DFA, may 2 na po tayong kababayang Pilipino
tama.
na nasawi sa Myanmar po.
Well, unang-una po, tayo po yung nakikiramay sa pamilya po nung nasawi na sa lindol na nangyari sa Myanmar. I think ang teacher ata to, no? Teacher ba siya? Guro, no? So tayo po ay nakikiramay, no? And I'm sure our DFA is doing its level best to provide assistance and support to to yung naging biktima, to the victims, and as well as to provide assistance for the family kung ano man yung kinakailangan ng ating mga kababayan, kung yung mga reparation processes ng kanilang kailangan na i-provide natin. I'm sure the DFA is also doing that, continuously engaging with Myanmar government para mabibigyan ng sapat na assistance yung ating mga kababayan na lalong-lalo na yung mga nabiktima at nasawi ditong lindol na itong nakaraan linggo. So yun, I pray that they would be transported back home so that makakasama man lang sila ng kanilang mga mahal sa buhay. I'm sure the House of Representatives will come up with the possible, yung immediate na assistance na po pwedeng maibigay. Kasi nagbibigay naman din tayo ng tulong pinansyal, halimbawa, sa mga naging mga biktima ng mga kalamidad nitong nakaraang taon.
Hello, Miss Sai, Congress TV.
Good morning po. Since natanong na halos lahat, siguro sundan ko na lang po yung last question po about Commodore Tariela. Paano po ba natin dapat papanagutin yung mga pro-China vloggers na maging accountable po sila sa pagpapakalat ng mga fake news po about West Philippine Sea?
May mga batas naman talaga tayo na in places. May mga against Anti-Sedition Act, there are a lot of legal ways in order to make our kababayan accountable for supporting a foreign claim which is diametrically opposed to our national interest. So sa pagkakaalam ko, based on the mga committee hearings ng aking puntahan sa TRICOM, meron namang ongoing na build-up cases, no? Doon sa mga suspected na mga mouthpieces ng China dito sa ating bansa. So I'm sure yung legal way on how to make them accountable, meron naman tayong mga batas na nanandyan. May anti-sedition, and many others, no? Thank you.
For today's last question, Red Mendoza from Manila Times.
Hi po, Kong. Marami-rami po akong tatanong sa inyo.
Sige, tanungin mo na.
First off, nag-comment po si Professor Ana Malindog-Uy sa insinuation niya na siyang pro-China vlogger siya. Sinabi niya na ano daw, her consistent criticism of the government's confrontational and belligerent stance in the South China Sea should not be equated with disinformation. Sabi niya, would having such a perspective be tantamount to spreading fake news? And idikit ko na rin po ito, sinabi po ito ni Lorraine Badoy kagabi, na Congress daw is the most rotten organization daw, led by Speaker Martin Romualdez, and sinabi niya na dapat daw hindi raw iboto yung mga member ng TRICOM. Ito yung sabi niya sa statement niya na the Martin Romualdez-led Congress will go down in Philippine history as the most rotten, the most bizarre even. Congress that ever blighted this noble nation of ours. A suppurative ball that needs to be lanced for the putrid rot it holds. Kung, of course, itong mga statements na ito, of course, this is in relation doon sa mga sinabi nila sa TRICOM committee. What's your take on this po?
Maraming tanong yun. No? Unahin muna natin yung sinabi mong Filipino vlogger.
Si columnist po namin siya, si Professor Malindog-Uy.
Well, there's no problem if you're sharing your personal opinion and observation on the ongoing development over the West Philippine Sea. But if your opinion is diametrically opposed to our territorial claim over this land, then that's become an issue of national security concern. Second,
yung kay Badoy po.
Badoy, I do not expect praises from them. So let's just leave it at that. Thank you.
Second question po. Kanina po nakabalita po na yung Chinese businessman po natagpo ang patay po sa May Rodriguez, Rizal. And of course, sinabi po ni Speaker Romualdez dati na fake news daw yung mga increasing crime rate sa bansa. Pero ito, may Chinese businessman po na namatay sa nakitang patay po, kidnap for ransom po. Ang sinasabi daw pong dahilan, pogo daw po. Hindi po ba to, you said, diametrically opposed din po sa sinabi ni Speaker Romualdez na bumababa ang crime rate while we are looking into etong nangyaring incident na ito?
Well, one incident cannot just overrun and overhaul the data gathered by the PNP. No, kasi nagre-rely tayo based on the rate, criminal rate as submitted by the PNP. And all of the data, we presume, to be coming from the different PNP headquarters and across all of the across the country. So I will stand by the rate, criminal rate that has gone down as submitted by the PNP as something that is official. One incident cannot overhaul entirely the data, the official data that was collected by our different PNP posts all over the country. And what it says is the criminal rate has gone down.
Pero this is a Chinese tycoon, businessman.
Hindi ko alam eh. Hindi ko bago ba yan? Hindi ko
Yes po.
I'm sorry but I
Yes
cannot
po.
specifically comment on that specific incident involving a specific Chinese tycoon because I haven't heard of that incident yet.
Kasi po, ano po siya? Kasi matagal na po siya nababalitang nakidnap. And ngayon po, nakot po siyang patay. So,
Let's
hindi po
call
ba-
on the PNP to do the investigation, a thorough investigation so that justice be served.
Pero hindi po ba ito nakakababa sa baka magkaroon ng takot yung mga investors sa atin because of this?
The inflation rate has gone down. It's 1.8 na ngayon. The employment rate has gone up. Yung the 3.8 ata, and our credit rating in the international community is very stable, and we have garnered the confidence of our international partners as far as our credit rating is concerned. So I don't see any reason why one incident would try to just simply dispel all of these achievements and progress that we have attained insofar as the issue of international investment is concerned. Again, if that is the case, I believe the person deserves justice. So I personally would like to call on the PNP to do a thorough investigation on this.
Last na lang po. Of course, we all heard about the tariffs, the Trump tariffs, yung wild weekend where the US president had slapped tariffs from across different countries, including the Philippines. I think 17% yata tayo. And then kagabi lang po, he took it back except for China. Of course, maraming sinabi na ni Yusek Castro na hindi raw maapektuhan ang mga Pilipino sa tariffs na to. Pero of course, some of our products came from the United States and we are also exporting to the United States. So, hindi po ba din nakaka-pressure ito, nakakatawag din po sa ating mga exporters to the United States? And of course, yung ibang mga products din galing China. So, what is your take on this po sa mga tariffs na ito?
Oh, well, I think the executive branch has been doing a lot insofar as addressing this problem. Should there be any problems that would come out, no, in terms of how the policy of the United States now is being exercised by their government. No? When it comes to the relationship with other nations, that is in a way cannot be decided upon by one single country like such as ours, because that would be internal to them. So I believe the relationship between the United States and the Philippines has been consistently going strong. With other bilateral talks or with other investment agreements with the United States, I believe our government is doing a lot and been in constant communication with their counterpart in the United States.
Super last. Do you think po ba kailan palakasin natin ang ating domestic production, domestic production, like yung mga negosyo natin, para at least mas stem natin yung issue sa tariffs ni US President Donald Trump?
Sa totoo lang, sabi ko nga, this concerns is an ongoing development. It's still an ongoing development, and I believe the Philippine government is in close contact and very much party is very much remains to be a very much a strong ally. Not only the ongoing bilateral talks or in militarily or even economically. So ako, sasabihin ko sa iyo right now, this is a new development. It does not only affect the Philippines but in even yung mga kanilang relationship with their neighboring countries like in Canada and Mexico, etc. So kung akong tatanungin mo, it's still within the purview of the executive and so much as to how they would be able to secure our advantage, that would be entirely on how these two governments would come out with a solution in addressing this problem in so far as tariff. Kasi sabi ko nga, that's how the U.S. domestic policy is now being going under the Trump administration.
Okay. Thank you po.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning po, Kong Zia. Kong Zia, i-ano ko na lang din, since nabanggit nyo kanina yung COMELEC. Ngayon po kasi may sunod-sunod yung mga nailalabas na show cause orders ng COMELEC dito nga sa mga kandidato na may discriminatory or misogynistic remarks. And isa nga dun sa mga nabigyan ng show cause order ay isa niyong kasamahan at kasamahan sa Mindanao, si Davao de Oro Representative Ruel Peter Gonzaga, na ngayon tumatakbong governor. May I ask your comment lang po, na marami kasing mga komento tungkol dito. Ano pong masasabi niyo rito? And even si Gabriela Party List Representative Arlene Brosas, nag-file siya ng bawal bastos sa election bill. Ano pong masasabi niyo doon?
Well, I think as candidates, no, as public officials, we should maintain yung discourse sa public spaces na hindi tayo makakasakit sa grupo ng tao. If we allowed naman under the election omnibus code yung sinasabi nilang negative campaigning. This has been explained by Chairman George Garcia, by COMELEC. But if we want to attack a certain candidate or a certain adversary in a political position, you should not use something that would touch the sensitivity of a certain group of people. So dapat nga tayo, we always have to maintain decency in public discourse, especially if we're elected and especially if we're seeking a political position. Kasi ehemplo nga tayo, we're supposed to be the role models in our community. So we should at least be sensitive enough to and be circumspect in dealing with the campaign speeches and campaign remarks that will not belittle a group of people but actually demeans the humanity of a certain individual. So nakakasakit sa loob na nakakarinig pa rin tayo ng ganitong klaseng pananalita sa entablado. Ako personally sinusuportahan ko and I would like to commend the Commission, Commission on Elections, for coming up with this bold step in disciplining, if I should say, the candidates running for this election, yung pag-adopt nila ng anti-discrimination and fair campaign resolution, because this will set the standard in keeping a productive and healthy public discourse during elections. Hindi na dapat din natin hayaan na maging ang pananalita ng bawat isa ay hindi lang nakakasakit sa isang individual, pero nakaka-demean at nakaka-dehumanize sa isang grupong tao, sa isang mga sektor sa ating lipunan. So I hope hindi na madagdagan yung numero na yan. The last time I checked on the news, I think mga nasa 4 o 5 na sila na nabigyan ng show cause order. Again, the COMELEC is just giving them the due process because show cause order would provide them the time to explain themselves kung why they come out in the public saying all of those things.
Opo. And Kong Zia, pabor po ba kayo dun sa panukala ni Kong Arlene na itong pagsasabi ng mga misogynistic remarks, sexist remarks ay maisama dun sa grounds for disqualification sa election? Meron namang mekanismo naman ngayon ng COMELEC, ang commission, to cite that specific example as a ground for disqualification. I believe the reason for the show cause order is for the candidates to also explain their side, whether or not COMELEC has to proceed with filing a disqualification, because the COMELEC as a regulatory commission can do in motu proprio those kind of penalties para po maiwasan yung ganitong klaseng campaign, pananalita sa campaign in the coming elections. So pabor ako na maging healthy at productive at
well-intentioned yung mga speeches ng bawat kandidato because hindi lang ho yun pagbibigay o pag-acknowledge ng right ng mga electorate sa kanilang pagboto during elections. Dapat po nasa isipan po nating mga kandidato that karapatan din po ng ating mga electorate that before they proceed to the precincts to cast their votes and exercise their right to suffrage, they will also be equipped with a well-informed decision. Hindi ho dapat tayo doon nakikipag-diskurso sa level ng kasarian ng tao, sa level ng paniniwala ng tao, but to what can we provide to our community to better the services of the government.
Opo, and sorry, isang other topic lang po, Kong Zia. Kasi balikan ko lang po yung fake news hearing. Sa tingin niyo po ba, I understand si Attorney Harry Roque may standing contempt order na yung House Squad Committee. Pero given na nabanggit po siya ulit dito sa House Tri-Committee hearing na sinasabing siya umano yung nasa likod nitong Polvoron video, sa tingin niyo po ba kailangan siyang ipatawag ulit this time ng Tri-Committee para makapagpaliwanag doon?
Well, I think so. I think we need to provide them also the due course, the due process to explain himself. Kasi the allegation, according to Ms. Pebbles, Kunanan, if proven true, creating and spreading these deep fake videos, manufactured videos, distorted videos, to not only cause and steer public outrage, but to demean a sitting official, and expecting that there will be a call for any possible legal possible means to discredit the office that he represents, is to me borders the issue of national security, because the office of the president is not only the head of the government, but he also at the same time the commander-in-chief. So I guess yung remarks niya, according to Ms. Pebbles, that he is good at toppling governments, I think he should be also, I presume that he would also be good at explaining himself before the public why he was made to he was made to appear as if he was made to appear that he is one of those who probably decide on how they can mislead the public by providing a fake videos, doctored videos, in order to gain some political score, no? So I guess nandun ako sa position na dapat talaga siyang mag-explain sa ating mga tao. He's a lawyer, he is an officer of the court. And all lawyers are obligated and expected to inform the public based on facts and truth. At hindi sila magiging fake news peddlers to a point where they are not only assailing the integrity of a certain individual, a sitting president at that, but they are assailing the integrity of the institution that the person is representing, which happens to be, in this case, the office of the president.
Opo. And sir, yung testimony kasi ni Pebbles, yun nga, medyo mabigat. Do you believe po ito ay part ng broader destabilization plot nga ng mga kalaban ng administrasyon? Although sa Facebook Live nga ni Attorney Harry Roque ay dinideny niya naman to. Ano pong masasabi niyo?
Alam niyo po, prior to that video, there was already the Maisug rally. So I think that the group that is associated with Attorney Roque associated with has been laying down the premise na kinoconnect nila itong si Presidente daw ay gumagamit ng illegal na droga. Naririnig naman natin yung salitang bangag. So I think that there were already that effort and in laying down that premise so that they can steer public outrage, no? To gain, sabi ko nga, this group is so desperate that they have to come out with a doctored video, which to me it's not only that's only incendiary in nature, but it is a cheap antique to the lowest level, no? At hindi lang ito hindi lang ito fake news, but this is a dangerous lie. Imagine you are creating and hoping to generate unrest in our streets, generating, a public outcry. And I believe marami ng mga instances wherein masasabi natin na yung grupo kung saan na-associate si Harry Roque, publicly, they have been condemning the president in the open, no? In fact, there was already a call by former President Duterte to withdraw the support of the PNP and the EFP. So I would say there was really indeed, probably, kasi it is difficult not to connect these events from the testimony of Ms. Pebbles. Kasi sila mismo, nakikita natin na meron talagang effort to lay down the predicate and lay down the premise that indeed the fake video, doctored video, was authentic para ipapakita sa tao na gumagamit nga itong presidente natin ng illegal na droga.
Opo. Sorry, last na po, Kong Zia. Tungkol lang po sa Facebook, kasi mula sa inyong mga kasamahan sa Kongreso and even former VP De Castro and yung iba pang mga dumalo sa pagdinig, ay sinasabi nila yung Meta or ito ngang naghumahawak sa Facebook ay may great responsibility for the spread of fake news. Tingin niyo po ba kailangang magkaroon pa ng pananagutan yung Facebook sa mga isyong ito sa fake news, and ano po kaya yung dapat gawin yun nga, yung mga content creators lang ba or pati Facebook kailangan talaga ma-hold accountable sa mga isyong ito, and in what way po kaya?
Alam ko dapat din natin tingnan, hindi lang ho tayo i-regulate yung mga content na ina-upload dyan sa mga platforms na yan. Kailangan ho din natin magkaroon ng regulation sa pag-operate nitong mga social media platforms, itong mga creators, itong mga operators na ito, because they have the full access and control of their algorithms. Yung policy, yung internal policy nila kasi, for me, it does not work to really safeguard their platforms from becoming the space to generate fake information and fake news. Kailangan ho din natin malaman kung ano yung pwedeng gawin ng gobyerno. If their policy, internal policy is not sufficient, then the government has to step in. And this is now, hindi lang ito bago sa ating sa mundo. There are a lot of countries who also regulate the operation of social media platforms and operators like Meta. In fact, in Singapore, the government has already adopted and approved a law, yung Protection from Online Falsehood and Manipulation Act. So if Singapore can do that, and Singapore is one of the most progressive countries in Southeast Asia, so if Singapore can do that, why can't we? So ako, ang paniniwala ko, dapat kung nais natin magkaroon talaga ng mas magandang panukalang batas na magre-regulate din sa traffic sa online and online spaces ng discourse, hindi ho lang natin i-regulate at mag-set ng standard kung ano yung dapat na nababasa, naririnig ng ating publiko, but yung paraan kung papaano po nila ito ma-upload. So it's very important that the operators of this platform, social media platforms, also needs to be part of this solution. And by becoming them part of the solution, the government really has to step in, and probably the Congress needs to pass a bill, no, in regulating this fake news. Hindi lang ho problema natin yan sa bansa, problema na ho ng mundo yan if this is not being regulated. I believe in 2016, the first person that I heard speaking about this is Maria Ressa dun sa Senate hearing back in 2016. So this is really essentially the purpose of the TRICOM. Kasi lahat, ang dami na pong sumusuporta dito sa ating ginagawa na hearing sa TRICOM, no less than a former high-ranking officials na nagsasabi na sila din ho ay biktima ng fake news. So, just to answer your question in a very short, pasensya na medyo nahaba yung sagot ko sa iyo. Tama po na dapat talaga magkaroon tayo ng panukalang batas, hindi lang po dun sa mga fake news, but also to explore on how the government can really earn an additional revenue from all these platforms. Kasi I believe nung tinanong po namin ng BIR kung ano yung mga mekanismo nila o polisiya nila para magkaroon tayo ng at least man lang magkaroon ng fair taxes doon sa mga gumagamit ng itong platforms na to at yung mismo, yung operators, wala ho silang maibigay ng konkreto na sagot. So if they are using, if they are using, these platforms in order to, again, to monetize yung kanilang mga content at in the end, kung makakuha sila ng livelihood, I believe the government also needs to see that angle kung paano po magkaroon ng hindi lang ho malayang pamamahayag, but malaya in a sense na hindi ho mabigyan ng maling impormasyon ang ating publiko. Thank you, Melanie.
We now recognize our Earl from IBC.
Kong Zia, good morning po.
Good morning.
Kung balikan ko lang yung kay Harry Roque. Kasi you said nga, due process lang and it's a must na humarap din siya sa TRICOM para maging fair yung pagdinig, marinig yung side niya. But same as with Quad Committee, kahit may contempt order siya, ayun nga po yung ginawa niya, nagtago siya sa Netherlands as of the moment. And then, what do we make lang po of him being a lawyer pero sinasagot niya yung mga accusations sa kanya on social media and never as of now in the formal committee hearing po?
Well, I think as a lawyer, he knows very well that he needs to respond to these allegations on a legitimate platform. I believe ang kanyang ginagawa sa ngayon as a, I don't know if I can consider him a vlogger, but yung mga kanyang mga response should have been treated more weight if only he exercised his profession as a lawyer, come home and as an officer of the court. He knows very well that if there's allegations have been thrown at him, and serious allegations thrown at him, and there's a pending arrest before him because he somehow up to now evades the reach of the arrest order because he's facing a serious criminal charges here in the country as an officer of the court and as a lawyer. He knows that the proper venue for him to exercise his right as a citizen and to also take the opportunity to avail of the due process is to come home and face these charges before the courts.
So, sir, just straightly asking, yung ginagawa niya ngayon, it's not very lawyer-like and not becoming of a former government official, sir?
Doon ata siya kumukuha doon sa online support. I think he's trying to capitalize on their online mass-based support and not so much on really facing under oath these charges in a legitimate manner.
Thank you, Kong. Follow-up na lang po ako dun sa issue ng bawal, sa usapin ng bawal basta sa election bill. Tatanungin ko lang kung yung disqualification ba para sa mga kandidato in the future na uulit ng same incident and same remarks, may bearing po ba yung punishment na disqualification for the candidates na ganun yung gagawin in the future?
Sabi ko nga, ang COMELEC at this very moment has that power. I mean, they're a regulatory commission. In fact, the reason for the show cause order issued against, I guess, 5 candidates right now is the commission exercising that power and mandate. So, should there be any amendments, possible amendments to the Omnibus Election Code, we are open naman. We are open naman to discussing that. Kasi nga kailangan ho natin ma-safeguard hindi lang ho yung karapatan ng ating electorate na bumoto, yung right to suffrage, kailangan din ho natin silang i-safeguard from remarks na hindi nakakatulong sa paglago at pag-progress ng kanilang komunidad. At kailangan din natin protektahan yung kanilang karapatan sa tamang impormasyon.
Next will be Miss Page from ABS.
Hi, Kong. Balik lang ko kay Harry Roque. Kasi binanggit ni Harry Roque nung Facebook Live niya nung Tuesday after the hearing na nag-thank you siya sa TRICOM kasi binigyan daw siya ng evidence to support his application for asylum sa Netherlands. So he's saying na that hearing where he was linked to the so-called Polvoron video shows that he is being politically persecuted. Your reaction po?
Well, I don't think, that's his defense, no? But I don't think the messaging, I mean the information, the revelation of Miss Pebbles would add on to his defense, no, or his application for an asylum. Kasi unang-una, yung pagbibigay mo mismo sa kanya ng invitation is an indication that he's given that due process. So it is not for me as a signal that this administration is really ganging up on him as what he is trying to portray online. In fact, the very purpose of that invitation is to provide him that legal, the due process, no, that should be accorded and afforded to him as a citizen of this country. So, sabi ko nga, he's a lawyer, he knows better, no, rather than continue on being or pretending to be a vlogger. He is very well aware of his rights, and he should face these charges before him. No, hindi lang po dyan sa kay revelation ni Ms. Pebbles Cunanan, but the application for asylum rests very much linked and connected with the charges filed against him on qualified human trafficking, and also the contempt orders that was cited against him by the Quadcom by continuously refusing and frustrating the committee by withholding those documents that we requested him to provide, and he did and assured the committee that he would provide eventually. But up to now, hindi pa po niya nilalabas at binibigay sa ating committee.
Kung aside from yung sinabi niyang yun na additional evidence, sinabi din ni Roque na everything is just a show, that TRICOM has a ready script complete with the PowerPoint presentation.
Hindi po yan, you cannot blame, for example, the resource persons or those members of the committee who are prepared to ask their questions. Kasi we are expected to be prepared every time we come out and then we join the deliberation. We're discussing here of a very serious matter that not only threatens this country, but it's really a global problem, no? At saka yung purpose of the TRICOM really is kailangan nung natin mabigyang solusyon itong paglaganap at pagsugpo sa itong maling impormasyon. May mga AI-generated na mga videos, nakita natin yung Polvoron videos. Very alarming ito dahil may issue tayo sa national security natin, no? So, yung ginagawa po ng TRICOM, hindi lang po legitimate na may concern talaga, na mayroon talagang problema when it comes to disinformation. Kasi sa panahon ngayon na very fast yung information dissemination and yung exchanges of information, if we don't have a regulation for this, truth becomes optional. And once truth becomes optional, democracy becomes vulnerable. So, yun po yung ating gustong at nais na ipahiwatig sa ating mga kababayan. Thank you, Pichi.
Next in line, Mr. Billy Vegas.
Kong, magandang umaga po. Kong, hingi lang po ng reaction dun sa memorandum ng civil service. Kahit yung simpleng pag-like tsaka pag-share daw po ng mga political post ay bawal.
Ako, per my personal take on that, I think yung as a civil servant, no, if you are a regular employee of the government, I agree that you should not take part actively in partisan politics, meaning you don't campaign for any candidates because you've been hired by the government. The resources that you are getting, your main livelihood is coming from the public funds. I mean, taxpayers' money sinusweldo sa'yo. So it's just but proper and appropriate and prudent for a civil servant not to engage himself or herself actively in partisan politics, join the campaign or endorse any candidates. Pero yung simple like sa mga Facebook at saka mga accounts, that to me is overarching. It's too punitive. I hope that Civil Service Commission would reconsider their policy on this. It's not to me, it's not tantamount to engaging in partisan politics just by simply liking campaigns, sorties being uploaded on social media, etc. by civil servants. So, para sa akin, I hope that we can still maintain that our civil servants remains to be non-partisan and apolitical, but as simple liking for a very simple reason that they like the messaging, na hindi naman sila nang-endorso o nangangampanya doon sa kandidato, is to me too restrictive and too punitive.
Before we end today's press conference, we would like to thank once again our Assistant Majority Leader. Alam ko may meeting pa si Kong Sia at magkakampanya pa. And sir, any brief closing remarks?
Again, marami pong salamat. Sana po yung na medyo naliwanagan po tayo sa mga issues sa ngayon, and maraming salamat din po sa inyong pagdalo sa briefing na ito, at be safe, no? Always be safe. Mabuhay po ang bansang Pilipinas. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.